Really depends. The best ones clean. One guy goes they gave you a grade. Yeah, he gave you a grade. He gave everyone a wow. So that we can be the jury here and down now. Crazy world. Well, I think that's great.
Yes, Ben's not here today. Welcome to the very friendly Westwood Village Rotary Club. I would like Gordon Fell to lead us in pledge.
I have to say, this is going to go tough. Okay, fellow Rotarians, yes, join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with
liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you. Go Bruins.
Dave Stover, will you please give us the thought of the day?
Sure. Where's the slide thing? Oh, yep. Okay. Who knows what the origin of April Fool's Day is?
I bet you do.
Oop, you're going right away. Well, this says it all pretty much. The 1st of April, some do say, is set apart for All Fools' Day. But why the people call it so, nor I nor they themselves do know. So that's the end, is that they don't know nobody knows. But the first reference in English was actually that, saying that nobody knows where it came from in 1760. And then the US is the one with the president dancing around all the different fools that are set up for him. Okay. But the consensus seems to be that the most likely source is from the 1500s in France, when they were using the Julian calendar, where the first day of the year was April 1st. And then after it changed, in January 1st, but some people didn't get the message, so they still celebrated on April 1st, and so people call them the April Fools. So that's the most likely, but there are potential references going back to the Roman days, and but none of them are that clear that it's really an April Fool's Day like we know it today. Thank you.
All right, I have a little story. The joke will be later. But many years ago, right in the middle of tax season, our daughter is due to be born, our first child, and I already had packed a bag, put it in the trunk, and I'm working with my dad. We're in Santa Monica. And our office manager comes running into my office and she says, just got a call from the hospital. Rose didn't have a chance to give you a call. She's on her way to St. John's. Please go meet her immediately. So I stopped what I was doing, ran down the hall, said, Dad, I'm going to the hospital, time has come. And I run out, I'm very nervous. Just get into my car and my office manager runs after me and says, April Fools. Hook, line, and sinker.
You fired him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Mark Rogel, before you have something to drink, you have something to say to us today.
I do. I want to welcome two prospective members, Matthew Wan, right here. By this time next week, Matthew and Chuck McCreary will be members past the 15-day public comment period. Ethan we just sat down with him, an interview yesterday, Hillcrest, and passed with flying colors, and we're going to bring him to the board. But Ethan is with J.P. Morgan, and I want you to know something.
From Morgan Stanley.
Huh?
Morgan Stanley.
Morgan Stanley, same thing. The guys at your table, they're all loaded. Perfect prospect. And the ones that say they aren't, they're the ones that are more loaded than the other ones, okay? There you go.
Well, it's a good thing I'm behind the podium. Okay, I want to thank Janet for greeting today. Thank you very much. Steve Day for doing the windmill. Thank you, Steve. All right, we have a couple other announcements. Chris Bradford.
Sir.
Hey, Chris.
All right, well, thank you, Chris. I just wanted to make an announcement to let everybody know that, those of you who've been around for a while have known that our club has sponsored, used to be called Ambassadorial Scholars for many, many years. We've been very successful in having many of them. The program evolved into Global Grant Scholars, and this year we had 2 applicants to Westwood Village Rotary Club for our scholarship. The 2 that we had were among the 5 that the district interviewed, and the district picked 3 of the 5, and 2 of them were from Westwood Village. I've been very pleased to be the scholarship chair for Westwood Village Rotary Club, and it doesn't hurt that I'm also the chair of the District 5280 Scholarship Committee. But that had nothing to do with it, though, I can guarantee, though. Terrific, two women that are very impressive. One is named Alma Flores, and you'll meet both of them. She just finished a 2-year stint with the Peace Corps in Senegal. The other one is Hannah Ferguson. Hannah and Alma, rather, is going to London, to the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine to study infectious diseases. So these are very interesting people. Hannah Ferguson is a UCLA graduate. She is going to be going to Belfast, Northern Ireland to study at Queen's University. And her area of focus is conflict resolution and peace building. Can't think of a better place than Belfast, as you can imagine. So I just wanted to be sure and thank those people in this group, in this club, who have been on our committee. Mark Rogo, unfortunately, he couldn't attend the district interviews because he was off in Japan, but we forgive you anyway, though. We'll find you. Phil Gabriel, who has been, I guess Phil's not here today, Phil has been on our committee for some time, and Ali Soji also. But I just wanted, I try to get new people to be on this committee every year. The people who've been on it, Mark's been on it quite a while. It's a really a great experience from the club level. And so if anybody's interested next year, I'd love to hear from you, certainly be on it. Yeah?
Did you say how much money that these people get?
No, I did not say. Would you like me to?
Yeah. I don't know if it's changed.
No, it's all right. No, it's a $30,600 scholarship. District 5280 does 1 year of study abroad at the graduate level. So they have to be graduated from their undergraduate degree by the time that they start their graduate studies. So it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a life-changing opportunity for many of these young people. And they don't have to be young people. You can be of any age and get this scholarship, as long as you have an undergraduate degree and you fit into the Rotary areas of focus. So, yeah, Michael?
Were the 2 that we have like normal from UCLA, or were there other colleges, and did SC have anybody?
No, SC did not have anybody. It was interesting. And the other applicant, Alma Flores, actually graduated from Berkeley. So she has roots here in Southern California, though. But interestingly, it was very tough, though, because we only had funding at the district level for 3, actually for 2, and then they made an additional one for 3. But it was very tough this year. We had to turn down 2 really good applicants, unfortunately, but they were not, we had to prioritize them, though. So thank you all.
Thank you, past President Chris. Diane, you have an announcement about next week. Ben will be back, but we will be meeting here. And I would encourage all of you to come. Ben has one of his best friends that will be doing the talk, and it's photography, how to take better pictures. So I think that we all could benefit from it. It's Passover, and we will be meeting here, as I mentioned, but it will be catered. So it won't be by the staff here. Yes?
Chris and I went into executive session with Ben's absence and decided to California's Chicken Cafe. And so I'll be making the order, but as it says up there, please let us know if you're gonna be here so we can do a count. So by show of hands now, how many folks are planning on being here next Thursday? So I'm just gonna do it by count. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're here out of town. Yeah, and Chris, 13. Okay.
Well, Ben,
14 for Ben.
Jim Marlowe was
Okay, so 15. And I'll put in, I'm doing the windmill today, and I'll put in the windmill for people to use,
It's not Passover next Thursday.
all right?
It's not Passover next Thursday.
well, they're not catering next Thursday.
They're not catering, we're just going to use the facility, so. Okay, so right now we're at 15. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Do we have any other announcements? Thank you. All right, so Ruth's Bay's restaurant, Delphi Greek, was going to reopen this Saturday, and he's having an open house, open restaurant from 3 to 5 p.m. There'll be drinks and food served, so let's all turn out and support Ruth's Bay and show up at Delphi Greek.
What day?
It's Saturday. Yeah, and his other Persian Gulf restaurant still remains to be closed at this time.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, I have a story for you.
Another one.
You put one in your head.
I want to pretty good, Chris. I think you should just kind of let that one be.
All right, this involves two brothers, Jimmy and Timmy. And Jimmy is 6 and Timmy is 4. And Jimmy turns to his younger brother and says, we got to shake things up around this house. Tomorrow when Mom's asks us for breakfast, I think we should use 2 swear words. I'm going to say hell and you say ass. And let's see what the reaction is, okay? So Timmy goes along with his older brother. And so tomorrow morning shows up and mother comes out and she goes, Jimmy, what would you like for breakfast? How about waffles? And he goes, hell yes, I would like waffles. And his mother says, you come here. I'm gonna wash your mouth out with soap. All right, so Timmy's watching all this. And then when she finishes, she looks at Timmy and says, well, Timmy, tell me what you would like for breakfast. And he looks at his older brother and then he looks at his mom and he says, you can bet your ass it's not going to be waffles. Okay. All right, we're going now to our speakers who are going to present their craft talks. And I'm very much looking forward to getting to know Sam and Valerie. So I'm not going to give away what they're going to talk about. I will let them come on up, introduce themselves, and give you their background. Please welcome Valerie and Sam.
Can you see the presentation well, or should we turn the lights a little bit down? Whatever you... Fantastic. All right, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving us this space. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, we are really honored that you have provided this space for us to share. The presentation we bring today is intended for you to be able to get to know us a little bit more. I know we've sat down and we had some lunch together, but we want to share with you a little bit of who we are, where we came from, and what we're doing. And so we prepared this presentation for you. So as you know, my name is Sam. This is my beautiful wife, Val, the better half. And here we brought you some pictures of our wedding that was only 2 years ago. So we are kind of newly married. We married in January 15, 2023. We met in Costa Rica. Life brought us together after many, many concerns to the globe, and then we tied our knot in a beautiful Jewish Christian wedding. We had all of the Jewish traditions, but also we had some prayers in the Christian faith. So both our families were included, and we're going to share a little bit because that's what our work is here today. So just to give you a little bit of context, so you know where we come from, some people, I know Americans are not great with geography, I'm not insulting you, but some people think we're from Puerto Rico, some people think we're from the middle of America, so we are from Costa Rica, many of you have visited. So is this work?
Yeah.
Right, many of you have visited, so Costa Rica is a beautiful, beautiful tropical country in Central America. We are a very blessed country that is surrounded by beaches on both sides, volcanoes, waterfalls, and nice cities, and most importantly, very, very nice people. As we call it in Costa Rica, we say, our Costa Rican saying is pura vida, which is pure life, which reflects a lot of what people and values we have in Costa Rica. It's a very calm and very nice country. Just some facts, because I know some of you really like those. I wanted to bring you. Costa Rica, it only has 5 million inhabitants. It's a really small country. Most of us know each other, and we have several connections. Fun fact, Val and I think, are the only two people in Costa Rica that didn't have one single connection before we met. So that was interesting. Costa Rica has no army since 1948. It has a 96% literacy rate, 5% of the world's biodiversity. It has 99% of clean and renewable energy. It hosts 5 blue zones. Do you know what the blue zones are?
No.
So blue zones are areas in which the scientists have discovered, because of the way they live, the food they eat, they live over 100 years, very healthy life. So in Costa Rica, we have 5 areas in which we have tons of centennials. And it's related to the water, it's related to the food, related to the way of living. So blue zones is the place we all want to be. We want the world to be a whole blue zone, but in Costa Rica we have 5 of those. We have 8 different indigenous peoples, and we are known for many things, but coffee, banana, and pineapple that you consume here, most likely, if you check, it comes from Costa Rica. So now I'm going to introduce my wife.
Hi. So, my background in education is in dance, sociology, and non-formal education. So, a little bit of like what I was doing back home before moving here to the States. I was the founder of this nonprofit called Vidas Creativas, in English, Creative Lives. And so what we were doing was creating like different spaces that would integrate art and education, and were designed for the expression and for the development of soft skills of the participants. In most cases, the participants were children and youth, and in these spaces, people discovered and they exercised their power of thought and just like the reflection to transform the reality they live in. Okay. And that is me dancing in a class. So just like to explain a little bit more, like the yellow one or like green one circle, it's just like the way or how we would like invite participants to be part of it. So inviting them like to come and have like dance classes, to discover movement, to discover the art world, and just like to think about their culture. I was in different projects, it was only dance. In some other projects we were able to bring alongside like musicians or painters, just like different people in arts. And then like the second once they enter, and that's like the catching thing for them, like to come and have like a dance class. But then when they come into the space, they are coming into a space where we are creating community and where they are discovering peers, their age, and just like building relationships and friendships. Then the other circle, the red one, is basically like the curriculum that we would be covering for that time. So certain projects would last over a year, then we would have like smaller projects for 3 months where we would meet like every week with the same like participants. And we would cover different topics, so all the way from peace building, conflict resolution, violence prevention, to topics of like emotional intelligence, discovering my emotions, how do I feel, naming like those emotions that I'm going through. And the curriculum was basically developed based on the needs that we would find like in the different communities that we were working in. And at the very core of it, the whole programming is just for the participants to have and continue to build like this self-concept, especially during their youth time. So when we are children, we are developing our identity, and like from the time, even like when we are in our mother's womb, but from that time to 3 years is like the first time that we are like setting like the patterns of our identity. But then when we come into like the youth years and just like being teens, that's when we are like debunking those ideas that we have about ourselves, or where we are affirming those ideas. And so using the arts was or is a way to go through all of that identity that is within us, and that at that time we can like challenge or establish. And so and we are doing it in a space where we are surrounded by people our age, by friends. So we're creating safe spaces for the kids and the youth. And so some of our projects was with UNICEF, and then the logo right next to it was it's a government institution in the country. So with that one, we were able to do projects all around Costa Rica with different communities, kids from the city, kids from the coast, kids from the mountainside, very good diversity. And then what brought me here to the US was that I was volunteering and then like came to be part of the team 821. They are an organization that works against human trafficking, and I was working directly with survivors of human trafficking. And in this scenario, I was also able to bring like those settings of using art as a mean of like going all the way to the identity aspect of the survivors we were working with. So we were able to develop summer camps where we were using the arts all the way from dance to pottery classes, and we were being able to tap into those ideas of identity. And just for you to have an idea, this is a video. It's just going to be muted because it's in Spanish, but here we were working with a community where actually like it's where the best coffee is harvested in Costa Rica. And at the time, like the community, what the youth were experiencing was they needed some skills to know how to deal like the challenges of like the emotional health. And we were tapping into those conversations of like, what are the emotions? How do they look like? How do I feel them? And so the project, how it looked was that with them, we would meet every Saturday, spend like the whole Saturday together, and we would have like lunch together. We would start with a dance class, then we would talk about like the specific topic for that day, and then we would go into this like creative choreography lab, laboratory, like dance thing where we would like engage with those concepts that we were like just discussing and come up with ideas. So all of that movement that you see was like, I was more a facilitator, but they were coming up with it and they developed like great friendships out of it. So it was very, very cool.
Yeah, and this is actually where Val and I met. So we met at a job, but we were both working as consultants for nonprofits. We were very involved in this world. So when I met her, actually, that's one of the first things that I really attracted. I was felt attracted of her when she was sharing that she built her own nonprofit and she was working with these kids. I volunteered immediately to go with her. So maybe you'll see me around in the video because every Saturday I will pick her up and we will drive 2 hours to this cover. Oh, that's me. You see? You can see me there. I had a few pounds less. And yeah, we will use that time driving 2 hours to this town so to know each other a little bit better. And that was the basis of our relationship. Before we move forward with my part of the presentation, we wanted to share with you a gift that we brought. So a couple of weeks ago in the Jewish community, we celebrated Purim. And as a Jewish tradition in Purim is for us to exchange gifts with our friends. We prepared this for you. We weren't here, we were traveling for work, but we wanted to share this with you. So feel free to open it. It has some kosher products. It has some cookies, pistachios, and also some really, really good coffee beans that we wanted to share with you. And yeah, it's a token of our appreciation and also letting you know that the friendly Rotary Club you're our friends and we love you. So thank you for having us here.
Sharing our attention.
All right, so that was a little bit of Val's background, and as I mentioned, we met at a job. We were both working as bilingual interpreters, helping different people here in the US. And when we met, very quickly we realized that we liked each other. We started dating, but then we realized that even though we were both Costa Ricans, we live half an hour from each other, we both speak Spanish, and we both have a similar breakfast. There were a lot of cultural differences that we had, me coming from a Jewish traditional home and her coming from a Christian home, Christian Costa Rican home, that we needed to figure it out. And it was a challenge during our dating period. And there were many things we needed to figure it out to be able to be where we are right now. So part of my presentation, I'm going to share what we did, what we went through, and what we're doing right now. But to give you a little bit of context on my professional profile, I'm in community building, psychology, and communications. I often describe myself as a connector of people's ideas and passions to create social change. I have a lot of experience in community building, organizational development, and the creation of effective service learning methodologies based on educational, community, and social psychology to promote a sustainable development of resilient communities and a more just, balanced, and conscious society. I'm multilingual. I speak Spanish, English, Hebrew, and I used to speak a little bit of Mandarin and Korean, but I haven't practiced in many years, so I should just stick to the three that I do know. I served, right after I graduated high school in Costa Rica, part of the culture in my Jewish community is to go to Israel for a year, for a year course. once I was there, I really fell in love with the country. I fell in love with the culture and with the people, and I decided to migrate to Israel. So I lived in Israel for 4 years. In there, I served in the IDF spokesperson's unit, in which I was honored with the task of opening the Spanish-speaking branch. So the IDF at this moment, they will have channels to speak to the media and to the public in general in Hebrew, English, and Arabic. And we opened Russian, French, and Spanish. So I was in charge of opening the Spanish branch. It was a really great experience. I did live through a war in 2014 with Gaza, which was very complicated emotionally and in many ways. So after I finished my service in Israel, I decided I needed some time back with my family. So I moved back to Costa Rica to finish my degree in psychology, and this is when I met Val. Most of my professional career and working as a volunteer also, in general, has always been working in disaster relief efforts. So I started with this organization, Cadena, which was born in the Jewish community in Mexico. After some big earthquakes that happened there, the Jewish community organized itself to go and help. And I became a volunteer when we had some disasters in Costa Rica, and for many, many years I worked as a volunteer, and I grew up within the organization until I became their chief operating officer, doing a full-time professional job with them. And that was my background until I came here. So I worked mainly in many countries in Latin America, bringing disaster relief, emergency and crisis response, and also working with vulnerable communities on prevention education. Another part, similar, like parallel to what I was doing with Cadena, I helped build this organization called Lazos, which is a network for young Jewish professionals in Latin America. I was their country director before I moved here, and part of the strategy was to just help create spaces, alternative spaces for young Jewish professionals outside of the traditional institutions that many of us were not necessarily participating. Call it a synagogue, call it a Jewish school, or different things. And it was very, very successful. We were able to gather people from all the different Jewish communities in one single place, which was something that never happened in Costa Rican Jewish history. We had people from the Reform community, from the traditional community, from the Orthodox community, all together in one single space. And now, what are we doing here in LA? So when we got married, as I mentioned, when we were dating, we had different challenges that we were trying to navigate. And Val found this program called Finding Spiritual Harmony for Jewish Gentile Couples. It's a counseling program. So an interesting fact, it's too small for me to read, but I'm going to try to do it at the top of my head. So around 50 or more % of Jewish people here in the United States are intermarrying, are part of interfaith couples. A big number of those end up being in divorce or different conflicts because we don't realize that even though they're both American, they both speak English, or we both Costa Rican, they both speak Spanish, there are some cultural differences on how we are raised and understand different topics such as family, love, God, holidays, traditions, and different things. So Val and I went through this program, and it was very, very great for us. So when we got married, we wanted to train to become counselors of this program ourselves, to help other couples like us. So that's what brought us to LA. A21 is what brought Val to the United States in general and North Carolina. But then when we got married, the program was either here or in New York. So we decided to come here to LA to train and become counselors for Jewish Gentile couples. Also, part of our training, we are helping building communities So here in, right next to the UCLA, we work at a place that is called Upside Down, which is a donation-based coffee shop, art gallery, and community space, in which couples like us can also come and be part of the community. So if you ever are interested in having a really nice cup of coffee, we have really good specialty coffee. It's donation-based, which means every time you guys come, you decide how much you want to pay for your coffee. And we have really different art galleries. We celebrate the Jewish holidays, and we organize one Shabbat dinner a month. And finally, also we wanted to share with you a really amazing and exciting project we are doing in Costa Rica. And also we wanted to share this with you. If any of you might be interested, you can just come to us later. So we partnered with some friends in Costa Rica to start this community that is called Vida Verde, which is Green Life. Our friends, they own this big piece of land in Guanacaste. I don't know if you've been to Costa Rica, but Guanacaste is where one of the most beautiful beaches are, and where all of the development is growing towards. So what we're doing is we're trying to build a community there in which we have people who can be either from Costa Rica or from abroad that want to just buy a piece of land, but also live in a community environment. This land is 20 minutes from the international airport in Guanacaste. It's minutes away from different super beautiful natural landmarks, 40 minutes away from all of the beautiful beaches. And yeah, we're going to be working on this project for the next month. So if you're ever interested in retiring in Costa Rica or just investing in Costa Rica, come to us. We can give you a really good price. And I don't know, besides from that, we wanted to leave some time open so you can ask questions for us. This is a little bit of who we are, our background, what we do, what brought us here. So yeah, please feel free to ask some questions.
Yeah, I'm curious if you could share some stories in helping the Jewish and the Gentile marriages. I would imagine that you must have some very interesting situations.
Yeah, we part from the point that every communication is cross-cultural, so you can call us like translators of the conversation in a sense. We've been in spaces where when someone is saying or using like certain words, the other person or the partner is listening to something else because it's filling those words with their own understanding of what this person means, right? But when we allow like the space to mediate those conversations, they stop like jumping on each other when they're like trying to have a conversation on a topic, and actually listening and understanding why a tradition might be important, or how is it that they want to spend, for example, holidays with the families. When you have a family that is Jewish and you have a family that is non-Jewish. So yeah, it's the main point of it is just like how to facilitate those conversations and how can we provide them with those tools, like to the couple itself, so that they can like in a very like peaceful way have those conversations. Because the other side of it is that even though like the intermarriage marriages are very high, the percentage of divorce is very high as well. So what we're trying to do is like facilitate those conversations so that the couples remain married and not go like through a divorce.
Yeah, and also, so the guy who developed this idea, his name is Tuvia Zaretsky. He's originally from here, from Santa Monica. He still resides here in Santa Monica. And he got curious about this. He started learning while he was in college. And he did his doctorate degree in cross-cultural communication, and his thesis was on precisely this, like how to counsel Jewish Gentile couples into finding spiritual harmony. So he developed also this tabla, yeah, in which like you have the different stages of a relationship: dating, boyfriend and girlfriend, married without engaged, married without children, married with children, and the different challenges that they usually come up in those spaces regarding where to go. Do we go to synagogue? Do we go to church? Do we celebrate Christmas or we celebrate Hanukkah? Do we eat kosher? We don't eat kosher. So all of these things come up, and what happens is that in many relationships, these things are not talked about a lot, because we're in love, we're having fun, we're dating, we like each other, and maybe we at the beginning, she comes to a Shabbat dinner at my house and she's happy about it, but she doesn't want to be the one in charge every single Friday of hosting a Shabbat dinner. For example, I grew up having a Shabbat dinner every single Friday, so I'm used to it. Maybe she wants to go out dancing a Friday night. I don't know, it's just like random examples, but like these things are not talked about, and when the relationship comes into a deeper level, that's when these things start to pop up. When it gets really complicated, if you haven't had these conversations, is when you have kids. Are they going to Jewish school? Are they going to public school? Are they going to Israel for a year? Are they going to Germany for college? Like different things that they need to figure it out, so, yeah.
So typically, what do you see in terms of when they come to you? Is it when they're now entering into a serious dating stage? Would that be the ideal time, I guess?
Well, yeah, but in the work that we do, we see all sorts of couples in different like stages of their relationship. Right now, for example, we have been working with a couple that has been married now for a good amount of years, and but they are at a crossroads, and they are having all of these like questions, and they reach out for help.
Yeah, and at the same time, we also counsel a couple. They're very, very young, maybe in their early 20s, and they're dating. They don't have life figured out yet, but she was very intentional in the relationship, and he came from a background in which he wasn't sure how to really invite her into her life. So she contacted us, and we've been gathering with him once in a while, and but yeah, some of these meetings are very successful. Both of them are open. Some of them you have one part of the couple that is really interested and the other is not really interested. So yeah, you always have those challenges, but we've seen a little bit of everything.
Do you find that the parents are another issue that you have to deal with at all?
Of course, yeah, that's usually the main issue. Not only parents, but community in general. And I don't want to say the parents are the issue, but like, for me, I remember I knew my parents were open for me dating someone who was not Jewish, but they were not really familiar with the Christian side. So for example, Val, she comes from a family that both of her parents are missionaries. They are very into the church. My parents are very secular, very humanistic. So it was a world they were not aware of. So they were kind of worried how these family relationships were going to play out. But thankfully, I think because of the program, but also because of the support they gave us from the beginning, it wasn't an issue. But yes, parents and community are usually big issues in this situation, yeah.
Working with religion, and actually, Harrison, even you were at Rotary in Costa Rica as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of us would be of the opinion today, you were mentioning the first 3 years of the womb, and then the teenage years, kind of being rebellious or agreed. It seems to me, and COVID didn't help, but the temples are lacking in people. The Catholic Church is not, everything, our kids are not being as religious and what have you as we were. And I think even that's happening within Rotary. So what, in Costa Rica, do you see a difference in working with young couples and stuff? What is the reason we're all declining in our religions in your opinion?
That's a good question. That's a sociological question. So we live in a very postmodern society, and there is a good sociologist that writes about it. His name is Sigmund Bauman, and the explanation he gives is more in the terms of like, we used to have, our society used to have like this very like strong pillars of what was foundational for the everyday living, all the way from government to religious institutions to education, and there were these promises of like, if you do this, if you do that, you're going to be successful. As we continue to develop in our society and the years continue to come, those promises have fallen short for the generations. So what we have now is sort of like this, are you all familiar with the quilting technique, where you take patches from one fabric and you put it together with another? So it's basically a society that is quilted. And every young person is now defining their identity sort of like in a shopping cart experience. With, like when you go to the supermarket and you can like choose this and you can choose that and certain product or another. So basically that is how we are now like forming our identity. And so that identity goes through the process of deciding what looks best or what resounds with me the more, and from there, religious life doesn't necessarily like go through like the religious aspect itself, but more from the traditional like a standpoint of things. So going even back to this, it might not even be because of like the Jewish religion itself, or the Christian religion itself, or whatever other like context or background the person might have, but it's more of like the cultural identity that that person like feels they're a part of. I don't know if that helps.
I have a question that relates to Costa Rica, a wonderful country. I'll go back many times, it's a beautiful place. How in the world have they lasted for so long without an army, especially with neighbor like Nicaragua? I mean, how do they do that?
So yes, I have this conversation very recently, and the short answer is because we have really good partnerships with the U.S. So the U.S. provides. So first, we do have a police force, and we do have like different, like a very, very stable country, very democratic, very peaceful in the culture. It's very peaceful. But regarding, for example, right now, the drug trafficking has been growing a lot. Costa Rica has always been just a place to pass, not a place of operations. They just use it as a way. But now it has been growing a lot locally. So we depend a lot on our friendship with the United States that provides DEA agents or training or equipment to come. Also, similarly with Nicaragua, as some of you know, it's a dictatorship. It's been a very complicated country for many years, and maybe 5 years ago we had a dispute in which they wanted to invade the northern part, like we share our border goes through a river, so they wanted to invade our side of the river so they can build a canal. So other countries and other like powerful forces can avoid the Panama Canal. So you will have a Nicaraguan canal that will ally with countries, I don't know, like China or Russia or other countries, and you have the Panama Canal. So they tried to do that many years ago, and because of US pressure, they weren't able to do it. But yes, like it became an issue. And of course, we have partnership with other countries, but I think mainly the US has been one of Costa Rica's biggest friends in this area.
You mentioned coffee as a product you produce. How big are you production of coffee compared to other major coffee producers?
All right, so this is a really, really great question. So in my opinion, and I'm biased, but I also like coffee very much. Costa Rica has the best coffee in the world. It's really, really good. The thing is that it's a very small country, so we don't produce in large quantities. Right now, Brazil is #1 in the world of exports in coffee, and they have really good coffee too. I think Ethiopia has good coffee, Guatemala has had good coffee, but there's none like Costa Rican coffee. It's really, really good. The land where it grows, where we were here, where we met and we were doing our project, has the cleanest rivers in all of Central America. The land is very rich. Costa Rica also has a lot of sustainable practices of renewable, of letting the land rest, on organic, there's a lot of things that make Costa Rican coffee really good, but it's not produced in mass. So mostly the buyers of Costa Rican coffee are countries like Japan, Germany, Korea, and they buy a lot of the produce. So here in the US, we will find Costa Rican coffee in really good quality, but you will not find it in big, in big numbers. Starbucks, they have a headquarters in Costa Rica. And they have a really, really big piece of land where they gather a lot of the coffee, and they have a really nice coffee shop there. Starbucks in Costa Rica, it's nicer than it is in the US. Yeah, the coffee is really fresh and it's good.
You're probably lucky if you're not with coffee, or you wouldn't suffer from the tariffs.
Yeah.
There's going to be tariffs on coffee.
Sure.
With the beans you've given us, how can we make the best cup of coffee?
So those beans, if I'm not mistaken, are the Sojourn. So in the coffee shop we work for, the Sojourn house blend. So in the coffee shop we work at Upside Down, we partner with this coffee shop called Be Bright. These are really, really, really good beans. Be Bright, the founder of Be Bright, last year he was #1. He won the #1 in the barista competition, and #3 in the world. His family is originally from Korea, but he's based here in LA, and the coffee he uses is from Costa Rica. So regarding to your question, I will just, it really depends on what you like. It works for our espresso. This is what we use at the coffee shop for espresso. But also a French press. It's really good. Last question, and then we'll.
Well, tell us a little bit about your rotary experience in Costa Rica.
A what?
Your rotary experience.
Oh yes, my rotary experience. Sorry, I didn't put that in our presentation, but yes, my rotary experience in Costa Rica was one of the most important and defining in my life. I was back from my army experience in Israel in Costa Rica. I was trying to connect with new people. I haven't been living in Costa Rica for many years, so one of my friends from a psychology school in college, he was the president of the club near my house, so he invited me. We started in Rotaract while in college. We did a lot of amazing projects, helping a lot of people, getting to know a lot of interesting people, hosting conferences, gatherings in Costa Rica from Central American neighboring countries. And I'm just going to be brief because I know we don't have much time, but we had such a great time and we delivered such great results. We were 25 years old back then. Then the Rotary Club invited us to become Rotarians early because they wanted to bring that, that energy to the club. So I worked as in the international seat for a year in the board, and I also work, if I'm not mistaken, in the youth seat, and I was bound to be president, but then I left. So
what was the name of the club?
It's Escazú.
Okay, can you spell that?
ESCAZU. U. So that's my hometown in Costa Rica. Really beautiful in the mountains.
Where's your coffee shop? We gotta go there.
Yeah, we have to go there.
I'm going there today.
Okay, so it closes at 3, so you still have time. It's in LeConte and Gailey. So you know where the In-N-Out is?
Yeah.
So we share the corner. So In-N-Out is here, we are here. We share the alley, I mean. So In-N-Out is here, we are facing the UCLA. Upside down.
Upside down on the way home.
What is it, Gary?
Yeah.
You own that, is that your business?
Huh?
Do you own it or you work?
No, we just work there, building community events.
All right, thank you so much. That was very informative. All right, 2 quick announcements before we go. One, I'm moving back to my house tomorrow with my wife.
All right,
It's been almost 3 months. And 2, UCLA, the women's are playing UConn in the semifinal match. Let's give them all our support. They're playing at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Outside of that, we are dismissed.